Rose Corley, General wants to see you.
There is only one thing harder than winning a war.
Keeping the peace.
How are you keeping, considering the circumstances?
I'm good. I'm working right now. I'm filming a new TV show. And considering the circumstances, it's going really great. Knock on wood. We're being extra super safe. I get tested 3 to 5 times a week. So my nasal cavity is scraped clean, but other than that, I'm great.
Well, I don't envy you. But no, I mean, for the second film, you were only on set for, I think it was not even 24 hours, no?
Yes, it was probably 12 hours.
Yeah, so I spoke to Liam, and he was just blown away by your badassery and the way that you were a jack of all trades, and I think essentially he decided to write the script around your character based on that. No, is that how it came about?
Basically, Liam is he gets inspired by something and then he just goes and makes it. He doesn't really I'll be inspired by something, I'll think about it for years before I'm like, let me go. He's instant. So yeah, we had that less than a day on set together, and then I was like, okay, bye. And didn't think I'd ever hear from him again. Didn't really know, didn't expect anything. And then I'd say about maybe 6 months or a year later, he emails me and is like, hey, you want to meet for coffee? I have a script. And I was just like, what have you been doing? Just writing the script. So
it's funny that you said he's instant, because I spoke to him recently, and I think you got quite annoyed with him, especially in one specific scene that he was exactly the opposite of instant, because you had to unleash some power, and he was just so engrossed in the scene he forgot to give you your cue, no? And you almost passed out, no? And I think you told him where he could go. Told him where to go.
Oh my God. Okay, that scene was the second to last day of filming, right? And we had been doing 6-day weeks for a month now. And I was in every scene. So it was just I was exhausted. We all were exhausted. And we had this scene where I had unleashed all the power, right? And Leo, he wouldn't call it cut. And it was very, it was kind of very painful to be super clenched and holding it all. And he wouldn't call cut. And I was losing air, about to pass out. And I was like, what? In my head, I'm trying to stay in the scene, but in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm dying. Why are they saying?
Yeah, I think it's actually in the bloopers now. I think you actually fall back onto the floor, no?
I do. Then the next day, I burst blood vessels all over my face. I had red freckles everywhere. And I was like, what the hell is this? Blood vessels. And I was like, Liam, this is what you did to me.
That's partly your fault as well, now, for getting yourself so into character, no?
Yeah, my fault.
I mean that in a good way, of course.
I'm done being good at this.
No, but something else that Liam said that you put all of your energy into this role, and he's really, really grateful for everything that you did. But he also said that he's thankful to you that you helped to bring the aliens alive, especially Trent, because the way that you react to the special effects is what made it work, he says.
Mm-hmm. That's so kind of him. Yeah, that was an interesting, I don't want to say obstacle, challenge of the movie. I didn't expect. I read the script and I was like, yeah, Trent, my brother. And then I just was like, oh, wait, he's an alien. And so when we're filming and I'd be on set, it's it's a guy in a suit, in a rubber suit. And I can't even see his eyes. Obviously his face doesn't move because it's a mask. And I was like, oh dear God. It kind of throws you, but then it also allows you to really use your imagination and really imagine that circumstance and that being alive. And, Jeremy Fitzgerald he's one of our stunt guys. He's wonderful. He was in the suit, and I bless his heart because he found ways to kind of be his physicality, and he's so limited, but still his physicality, or even just a grunt or just something that, helped me feel there was a living being in there. But also, I just have so much more respect now for like green screen actors and, you know, other puppeteers or other puppet actors, because yeah, you have nothing to work on except you. So you better figure it out.
You've been blessed with the ability to interact with alien tech. And I want you to join us. Give them a taste of their own medicine.
When I spoke to Liam, he felt that it was his excuse and a way to get to tackle a superhero movie. But at the same time, he didn't want it to be the typical superhero that was 100% full of energy all the time. No, you had to be sapped with energy, like when you fell over before. That must have been a real tough juggling act at the same time, no?
That was interesting. Yeah, and you're right. You know, Rose had so much going on with her, between like kind of carrying, you know, this secret of hers and this, you know, guilt, but then also this idea of like her being drained and energized, and it constantly, every time she uses her gift, it's also a curse, and having to pay this toll and feeling like, you know, it was a very scary circumstance to put yourself in, that it's okay to save everyone. I have to essentially die. And, you know, that was a big decision she makes, and it's scary because no one quite knows, and she's, you know, bears that burden herself. But that's what I think also made her just, you know, I thought it made it more interesting because we didn't know if she'd make it. We didn't really know that she was going to win or come out on top, and sometimes I feel like with superhero films, we're like, oh, of course they're going to figure it out. But with Rose, it gave her such mortality. Yeah. In the humanity she needed, that, you know, again, she's a hybrid. She is just as much human as she is alien. And she has to face those human dilemmas of, you know, mortality. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting.
Yeah. And sticking with that topic, I want to talk about the physicality of the film, because obviously the previous film we had Frank Grillo, we had Iko Uwais, all of these great martial artists. That must have been a lot of pressure for you going in thinking, oh my God, I've got to follow this up.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So how did you go about that? And I imagine you did plenty of training beforehand, no? Just to make sure you were up to par with those kind of guys.
Jeez. To be quite frank, no pun intended. Funny enough, me and Frank would visit the same boxing gym in LA. Right. So you know, I had seen him train before and whatnot. So it's pretty crazy. I never went up to him and was like, hey, I play your daughter in a movie, but you know, it is pretty funny. You know, the funny thing is the movie kind of like, it like was happening and then it wasn't for some reason. And so I was like, okay, we're not doing this movie. And then maybe like 2 weeks, a month, not even a month, I think 2 weeks before we left, they're like, okay, it's on. And so I hadn't really been training. I hadn't been preparing. And we only had about 2 weeks of rehearsals before we went to camera. So we really didn't do a lot of stunt training or performing because we didn't have time. And I just have a background in martial arts and fighting because I started learning Thai kickboxing, Muay Thai, I guess about like 5 years ago. And it's just always been an interest of mine that I've just... So
that was just an interest. It wasn't for making a specific movie or anything like that. It was just a personal interest. Yeah.
You know, because it was born out of, I was filming The 100. It was a TV show I had been on for the last 7 years. And my character, and it was a very post-apocalyptic again and very adventurous. And like, spoiler alert, my character is paralyzed after the first season. So I didn't really get to do as many stunts or fighting as like my other castmates and friends are doing. And I was incredibly jealous. So I was like, man, that looks so cool. It looks so awesome. I want to learn. And so I was like, all right, I'll just teach, you know, get trained and figure it out myself. And maybe I can do this in a movie one day. So yeah, it just became a hobby, and then this happened. So it's kind of crazy.
I know what's at stake, and I'm not afraid to die for it. I have to finish this myself.
We're running out of time, but I want to talk a little bit about the future. There's two things I want to ask you about. First of all, I was rewatching the film yesterday, and I watched the trailer again, and it suggests that it's the conclusion, the epic conclusion to the Skyline trilogy. But there's I don't want to give anything away, but there's a cliffhanger at the end of the film where it doesn't look that way at all.
Maybe. Yes.
Silence in the room.
I think we have, it's interesting because we leave off in a place where we can definitely pick up and expand and, because I'm always wondering, okay, what happens now? What happens after we went through all this? What happens now? But it's also in a place where we could leave that story at that place and leave it there. But I hope we explore it, and I hope we have that.
I hope so. I know that Liam definitely has a few ideas up his sleeves. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's already been texting me. This guy doesn't sleep.
You said you're in production now. I'm guessing was that Walker?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about your involvement in that? Who you play? What it's about?
Yes. Okay. So Walker is the Texas Ranger, Walker Texas Ranger reboot, but it's not going to be anything like the one in the 80s with Chuck Norris. It's completely different, completely reimagined. But it's centered around Texas Ranger Cordell Walker, played by the awesome Jared Padalecki, and he's amazing. And he's a widowed father that basically has came back from an undercover job for a year or so and is kind of reconciling with losing his wife and coming back to his home and figuring himself out with, where he fits now in his family and with his children. And, what's he going to do with his future without the most important person in his life, and how to kind of reconcile with all that. Then you meet me. I'm playing Mickey Ramirez. I'm one of the first female Rangers, Texas Rangers, in the history of the Texas Rangers, and one of the first Latina Texas Rangers. So, my character is a first of many, and she's entering an essential boys club in a very essentially male-dominated field, and is finding her way within it. She's very much, she's very strong, she's very smart and perceptive, she's funny, she kicks a lot of ass, but she's a change maker. And we're in Texas where there are a lot of conflicting ideas and mentalities, and Mickey really sees herself as a liaison to maybe bring people or different sides of people that may feel differently on issues to find some common ground and maybe learn to understand each other more. So
it sounds fantastic. Really, it sounds like a really different take on the original series. Yeah.
I was told not to watch the original series whatsoever, because apparently it's completely different. So yeah.
No, but it sounds great. Yeah, we're out of time. So thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Great. Thank you, Howard. Me too.
I wish you the best of luck with the film and also with the series. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.